welcome to Footy Kickin Good. We are here with a special Supercoach episode for you guys today. I got two champions on the couch, Travis D'Souza, Nathaniel Cramer. Thank you boys for coming down today.
Thanks for having me, Jamie. Yeah. Apologies in advance if my voice breaks. I'm a bit underdone.
Yeah. Now, I think last time I introduced you as my future brother-in-law. After this weekend, now you've...
all locked in. And at the wedding, we did drop this podcast name quite a few times. So hopefully a few more subscribers.
Yeah, that was a nice intro before my speech. Didn't throw me off at all. What do you think, Travis? Do you think being a married man, does that help you with Supercoach heading into the year, or does that make it things harder?
I think it actually should make it easier because now the wedding's done. I should be in the good books for the next 5 years, hopefully. Free to do what I want, watch every game on Super Saturday. I think it should make it easier. More time for footy. Sorry, Tash.
Nathaniel, you want to tell us who do you support?
I'm a blue bagger.
Yeah, how are you feeling about the Blues?
Season? Look, promising. I'm hoping we can give it a good tilt where our list is at. I mean, a bit sad with Jagger going down early in the year. But yeah, an 18-year-old really shouldn't be changing our chances. So.
Did you have Jagger in your side before he went down?
100%. I think most people would have.
He was locked.
He was locked and loaded. So, but yeah, hopefully we give it a good tilt.
Yeah, no, good talk. I'm curious, guys. When you're putting together your classic team, are you focused on the buys this early on?
This year, definitely. I think especially because so many premiums have now gone down. I think choosing a premium this year is so hard that the buys just have to come into it. There's no real... I'll be honest, at the start, I just locked and loaded Bont and Dacos. Didn't worry about Dacos' buy, but because so many have gone down, I think the best thing to do is to factor in the buys. Yeah.
Do you focus on which are the players that are going to increase in value a lot earlier on in the season?
Yes, correct. I'll give you some more examples later on, but someone, for example, like Finn Callahan now, since he's played round one, has a good score on the board, I don't see any reason in not picking him after his buy now, because his price wouldn't increase before his buy.
Yeah, so he's got the buy in round 2, I think.
I was around 2? Yeah, sorry,
round
2.
two. Yeah. So, whereas a player like the Pies, the Swans and the Hawks players will all, I guess, have that week earlier, they'll change price.
Correct, exactly.
So if you're trying to bank in a little bit of cash on some of those rookies, those are the players to kind of go for. But yeah, for me, I've already looked at my squad, and we'll see it later on, but I'm already screwed for I think the first week of the big buys, I'm already screwed. But you got to take that into consideration and probably make the changes before that happens. Mm-hmm. But let's talk about, let's work our way down, and we'll start with defenders. Boys, who do you think are premium locks for you in the back line?
I think Sheasel's got to be a lock.
Yeah, I think, I'll be honest, Sheasel is my only lock this year.
Is your
I can't really pick... each year I normally start with 3 defenders who I can be yep, those are 3 locks. Yeah. I reckon I've chopped and changed that many times, aside from Sheasel.
I feel like I've pretty much locked in Whitfield as well.
Whitfield?
Especially after the weekend's game.
Okay.
I just think there's going to be a lot of ball coming through him.
I did obviously look him up after the Pies game, and I didn't realise, I always felt like he was a little bit injury prone, but he played 20 games last year, and he's always been really consistent. I did watch him in the game, and I was like, he just racks them up.
He's a bit of a seagull. Are you worried about the tag concerns at all? Because sometimes when they have that lockdown high half forward who locks him down,
like a Jordan or something.
It's exactly right.
He's one of the guys, if you tag him, more often than not, GWS tend to lose.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Depends how good.
Because I think I could be wrong again, but in the first half of last year, his scoring potential wasn't as high as the back half.
Yeah,
I think it was because of a few tags or maybe some injury concerns.
Yeah, he didn't have the best year last year, despite scoring quite well as it is. But I like him because I feel like you need those point of differences in your team. I feel like he's definitely one that doesn't get looked at.
Hopefully Callahan takes the tag a bit more than he does. So
what is he, 30-year player, Callahan?
Yeah, he looked pretty good on the weekend.
And no Tom Green as well. So
yeah.
Who do you tag?
Other defenders, look, guys in that bracket for those premium locks, I would say Luke Ryan, Nick Martin. What do you think about Nick Martin, Travis?
Again, because I factored in the buys, and I've already got a couple of Essendon. I don't want to reveal it too much now. We'll see later, but a few Essendon players in terms of Reed and Pryor. Yeah. And they've got that buy. That's one of the reasons, and also have no idea where he will actually settle. In the practice game against Geelong, he was playing he was moving up the ground more. I guess he was more damaging his possessions, but I don't think he's going to have that full seagull role that he had at the start of last year, which I would have picked him straight away.
I still think watching that preseason game, he's just one of those players that knows how to find the ball.
100%
wherever it is.
Yeah.
And I think the back half of his year when he got moved back into defense, he was actually really good.
All he has to do is just please don't bite off more than you can chew. And then he's fine. He will score so many points.
You know what? I feel like some of his critiques that actually, as a player, I don't think always affect Supercoach.
Yeah.
So there are certain players,
True.
and like one that I probably will get into some of our underrated defenders, but I had Perryman.
Yes.
As well.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't love him as a player.
Yeah.
But I think he's a good Supercoach.
Correct.
Yeah.
Spot on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just touch quickly on Luke Ryan, who you mentioned? I don't know if you remember last year, Justin Longmuir came out and said, we don't want to cater to these players just racking up possessions in the back line. And I think since that moment, his scoring, not like it went down heavily, but he never reached those 170s, 130s.
Yeah.
That's my only hesitation of locking him this year at the start. And at 630k, it's a bit of a risk.
I've got a Luke Ryan stat here. So in 2022 in round 2, he scored 156.
Yep.
In 23 in round 1, he scored 171. In round 1 in 24, he scored 165.
Yeah.
So he goes big in one of the first two rounds.
He goes big. I'm just going to bank on Justin Long. We were saying last year, midway through, we don't want stat padders. It could come back to bite me.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
Oh, the other thing with Freo players, they have a great buy.
Yeah. So the Freo St Kilda have that.
Unbelievable buy.
They're alone in their buy.
Exactly,
And if you can kind of bank in those players, then all those players are free for the bigger buys, I guess.
Spot on.
Did you guys take that into consideration? Was there maybe Freo and St Kilda players that you thought I had to put in just as a point?
Honestly, I didn't. I haven't taken the buys in hugely into consideration. But that's I've just sort of gone on face value a bit more. Whereas I think Travis probably
I've gone to the buys
a bit more.
Another reason for me not to go into the buys is the flex player this year. So you have an extra man to score for you essentially in those best 18 rounds. So
I
could
think
make a difference.
I think it's sometimes better even going down that route because you're not worried too much about that and you're more worried about who's going to generate you more cash and you know who you can actually swap out because realistically it is it's going to be quite a lot of changes before you get those big buys.
100%.
Any other defenders you guys want to mention?
There's a few of those mid prices. I'll preface this by saying every year I do Supercoach, I normally go with the guns and rookies approach. But I think this year with the amount of injuries to primos and the amount of value in the mid prices, people like Roberts, like Perryman are genuine options. And I wouldn't mind going for a few more mid prices than normally I wouldn't feel easy about going.
Any underrated guys that you think you could take a look at as a defender?
I think Joel Frazier from the Doggies, and then just a bit of the media, like Bont was talking him up at the Captain's Day and all that sort of stuff. So that's always a good sign. Apparently, he had a really good preseason, so he's probably another one sort of kept an eye on. But I think for me, like opposite to Travi, I've historically been like mid prices are the way to go. But this year, I've been sort of just eyeing the rookies and
I think I'm in the same boat. Normally it's the same thing, the guns and rookies approach. Last year, I think I took more of a tactic of taking those first rounders in the draft, thinking like they were all going to play.
So the higher priced rookies?
Yeah, exactly. And I've kind of followed suit this year, but I'm more positive on the rookies from this draft class actually being closer to premiums, I guess, than last year. Look, a couple of underrated names I'll throw at you guys, and you tell me if I'm on the money or off the money. Rory Lobb.
No
fan of Rory Lobb?
Maybe for draft, not for classic.
Definitely not.
Look, I think he's one of those guys that might excel more earlier in the season, maybe generate you some cash. It might vary a little bit though. I think without Liam Jones in the back line, he is their number one, I guess, like intercept marker now. So it's a matter of if he can get a couple of cheap ones, the same way kind of Luke Ryan does. The other one, Nick Haynes.
No. Oh, you're a Carlton man. I'll let you go for it. No, Nick Newman.
I don't think so. I think he's it's the way we're sort of built our list now. Either him, he probably actually takes on like a key forward, right? So I feel like it takes away from the ability to run off and intercept. But even McGovern, I would think in that sort of he'd be that intercept guy. But I think they're going to have to fight over who takes the second key forward. So
Nick Haynes for me was always one of those players at GWS who was always really good, and I feel like he got more squeezed out of the sides. It wasn't his body that let him down or anything like that. And he was notoriously pretty good scorer.
Was that like Pete Thing and Perryman, who like any other club they would get a better chance?
I would say that like it's really funny with the Sydney clubs because they got really great players that just go under the radar. Like no one really gave Jordan Dawson really any credit. He went to Adelaide and just exploded.
As captain,
So some of these guys can kind of do that. And the only other one is Sam de Koning, who's potentially you assume if he's playing ruck, he could potentially score higher. I still think like you want to compare him to his brother, but at the same time, his brother's been playing the role and kind of developed the skill set. He still plays very hesitant as a defender. Kind of thing. So I don't know if he can score to the level that his brother is, but I still think if he's playing full time or if
he's playing full time, right? But then does Chris Scott just love Reece Stanley?
Reece Stanley,
he's always there. I don't see why, but he's always there.
He's the poster boy, for Chris Scott. All right, let's move on from the defenders. Let's talk about the midfielders, guys, and premiums. Who are your locks? And I'll say, look, I think I've got a stat here. 4 of the top 10 from last year are all under injury cloud. So
because of that reason alone, I don't think there's any absolute locks. I reckon it will be great for Supercoach Classic this year that there'll be a wide spread in teams. So I've gone down, as I've mentioned before, the buy structures.
Yeah.
So I've gone Sarong and Brayshaw just because of their buy. And to be honest, I did have Dacos and Bont, but I hate using the word faded, but literally just after the GWS game, got rid of Dacos because of the cramping. His price has to drop now and the buy. I think there's just too many things to keep him in the team going in.
Yeah, Dacos has been one that's in the last 24 hours has kind of gone in and out of my team a few times. The thing with Dacos is though, if he does go back to the norm next week, it's sort of like he's not a player that you really care where his price goes.
Yeah,
because he's almost like you stick him, set him, and leave him.
I agree, but what if I tell you can buy him for a 50 or 60k discount after his buy? Yeah,
the thing about that is though, it's almost like you have to get him exactly when he's got that price drop.
Yeah.
And you never know. You cop another injury, and there might be more crucial trades to make.
Spot on. Yeah.
But I get where you're coming from, and that's definitely a bit of what I was tossing up with Dacos.
Yeah.
Any other guys you have? I'm not sure if there's universal locks like.
No, I don't. I don't. This year, no. I would have said Bont and Dacos before their injuries, or before Dacos's cramp and.
Would you guys? Well, Sarong's probably you already mentioned.
I've got Sarong locked.
Yeah, he's another one I would definitely consider. And Tom Green, what do you think? He's obviously been injured preseason, but it's a good chance he comes back this first round.
What's he priced at?
I don't have it off the top of my head, but I think it's in the
probably
high 500s.
Low 6.
560-ish.
Again, Tom Green, I like him. I started him last year.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he still has to get 40 odd touches to put out a big score. Efficiency is not really. He's a beast. I wish Essendon had him as a player.
Yeah.
Supercoach scoring, I think he is in that bracket where he needs to get 30 plus to put up a big score.
Yeah, I think he's consistently pushing those hundreds, but I don't know if he's ever getting a monster score.
Yeah, there's one or two sprinkled in. I think towards back in the last year, I can't remember which game, but at the very start of last year, he started like a house on fire.
Yeah.
And then he stayed in everyone's teams, but I wouldn't start him as a lock.
Yeah. I'm locking Dacos and Sarong. I think mine is on the back of, or my train of thought is that they're going to be top 8 mids at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And that's sort of how I sort of think when I'm going for those premium players.
Yeah.
I reckon I'm locking those two.
Yeah.
From the premiums, definitely. Yeah.
Anyone from Gold Coast that you guys would consider? Because they've actually got quite a nice draw to start off the season.
They do. Noah Anderson is always one who I just see puts up a 170 or 150 and he just puts out a 70 and I can't explain why. And I can't handle that. I'd rather someone just consistently go between 100 and 120 than someone who can just drop a 70 because that could make or break your league matchup for 1 week and just frustrate.
I remember because obviously a lot of people try to win the whole competition and they're kind of looking at the best list for the year.
Yeah.
But what I saw with some teams, and I think the top scorer after the first round last year stacked up on Giants players, and I want to say the Giants played maybe someone like West Coast or something like that.
Yeah.
Bottom of team, and they had guys I want to say it was like Callum Brown and stuff like that, who scored massive in that first round.
Yeah, right.
And they were able to basically take themselves to the top of the leaderboard because of that. Do you guys think of that as a strategy, maybe looking at Carlton players potentially?
Nah, too risky for me.
Yeah.
I think maybe because I'm just not thinking that much risk. Not willing to take the risk. I think for that kind of strategy.
Yeah, because I got one underrated, and I think Adam Chera is a good bet.
I wouldn't even say he's underrated because I hear and around.
I think he's rated.
He's rated, and his price is great value.
Yeah, he's great value at the moment. Look, just because I think he's possibly going to have a massive game against Richmond.
Yep,
is kind of the basis for it, and I think he averaged. Sorry, give me a sec. Let me see if I have it here. He averaged 108 in 2023.
Yeah.
So he obviously injury prone last year. Had a couple of injuries. I was probably not his biggest fan last year coming in and out of the Carlton side. But Supercoach wise, if I'm looking for a diamond in the rough,
I think he
might
be it. As a Carlton supporter, is he just an absolute? What's your midfield mix? Is he just a lock in there with Walsh and Cripps?
Yeah, I reckon, especially this year. He's had a really good preseason off the back of the hammy issues last year. But I think he's 80%, 75, 80% CBAs for sure.
That's big.
I think he might even be
Kennedy went out the side as well.
Yep.
yeah, no, he's definitely going to be playing a lot of midfield.
Yeah, well, I hope so.
Yeah,
In my team. But what do you guys think of Petrarca and Oliver as well?
Oh, I'm just going to say, I'm pretty sure everyone has Oliver now.
Yeah.
He's just too much value. Petrarca is interesting because I think he's about 575k. So at that price, you can go to like a Brayshaw who has the buy. You can go to quite a few different players. And I know he dominated in the practice game again and the preseason games, but I think I'd want to upgrade to him. I wouldn't start him.
Yeah,
okay,
that's just my opinion.
Because he really is one of those 110 plus scorers.
He can, yeah.
So it's a matter of if he can, regain that form. I got a couple of underrated here for you guys, and you give me thumbs up, thumbs down. Taranto.
Just because
you don't think he could just do a solo effort though?
No, I don't think so. Because like Supercoach, what I love about Supercoach scoring it's how you impact the game. So if Richmond are losing, it's hard. It's hard to get that because if you want him as a end of season mid, you need him averaging 115. If you think he's a top 8 mid at the end of the season, the top 8 will generally be above 115. I don't think he's getting that in a team that's going to get pumped every week.
Yeah, and who's he kicking it to as well, right? So
that's the point. But efficiency is sometimes measured just by long distance.
If you can kick 40 meters plus, it doesn't matter what happens.
Exactly.
That's true.
I don't know if you guys have seen much of Jake Saligo in Adelaide.
Oh, I have. I think he will come into that midfield mix again a lot more this year.
He's just one of those guys that seems to improve his average every year.
Every year.
And he looked phenomenal preseason, and they've always been talking him up. I think he's a bit too much of a risk when you look at some of the other names in that same bracket. Will Ashcroft.
I like him a lot.
Yeah.
There's something about picking second year players. It's like him and Harley Reid
as
well.
He's technically third.
He's technically third. I agree, but he missed a lot.
I mean, but does the Norm Smith almost like give him that extra chip on his shoulder?
It does, but then again, look at Brisbane's midfield.
Yeah.
Like who's like so many points to share around. Yeah, it's so stacked. McCluggage, Neil, Dunkley, Berry goes through there.
You think they could all get a lot of the ball, but it's probably no one throwing out monster scores.
Exactly. And what's that? Supercoach is that 3,300 points rule per game. There's only so many points a player can get.
Exactly. Jace Burgoyne.
Oh, I think he's moved up to the wing this year. So, and he's been done in the preseason games.
You know what? He knows how to find the ball.
He does.
Yeah.
He
he kicks long.
Yeah, big purple patch towards the end of the year as well.
Great for draft last year.
Yeah. Look, I'd love to have him in my side, but again, it's just one of those ones. It really is a gamble.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of Jai Simpkin?
Nah. I don't think so. I think there's so many of those other younger mids coming through, and he's sort of. Even though he's captain, he's still like, at a prime age. He's sort of, I reckon he's going to just sort of fade away.
Because he's also a forward, if I'm not mistaken.
He is a forward, but that's the risk. I'm pretty sure he's got, I don't know if they'll play fully in the midfield again or that high half forward role, which is important for teams, but it's not good for Supercoach scoring.
Yeah, we know Wardlaw's obviously injured, so he might get a few more minutes in there, but it's one of those things where
it's hard.
Without seeing it happen.
It's like Tom Powell is probably, I prefer Tom Powell over Jai Simpson because he's locked into that midfield.
I had Tom Powell in my draft league last year.
You did? I remember.
He could go big, he could go...
I think this year, though, he's just locked.
Tom Powell gets moved around a lot.
Yeah.
So I think he was playing a lot of midfield in the preseason and he looked very good.
Yeah.
And he's a very good player.
Yeah. Tackles a lot.
I'm just curious security in his position.
Yeah. True.
Let's just quickly run over a couple of rookies just because I feel like the bulk of the rookies that 100%. You're looking at are in the midfield. Again, let me know. Do you consider these guys Levi Ashcroft?
Yes, 100%. I think he's like Ashcroft in his first season. You just got to put him in.
And honestly, there is question marks around can he find the ball? Because we talked about all the midfielders at Brisbane. Looking at the preseason game, he could find it.
100%.
He goes Hunson.
And for a rookie, if they can make 150k, that's a pass. So I'm pretty sure at his price, he must only need to average about 70 odd to get there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very clean as well.
Exactly.
Finn O'Sullivan, what do you think of him, Nathaniel?
Oh, he's been in and out of my side. He looks like he's playing on the wing, so he's still going to see plenty of ball. I'm sort of on the fence about him, to be honest.
I think he's going to be a future star, and I just think he can find the ball and use it really well. I'm not expecting him to be a premium, but just to make money. And I think he's a lock as well to be playing.
I've got him in.
What do you guys think of Sid Draper?
Hard to say. He came on as a sub. He dominated as a sub. It's just like if he the thing with all the rookies this year, I'll preface it by saying it could change up until Thursday or
exactly. You never know.
You never know what's going to happen.
How the coaches see.
All based on selection.
The thing with Sid Draper is I thought he was phenomenal when he came on. It wasn't really a sub. I think it was just calculated he was going to play the last bit of the game because it was extended benches. But Matty Nix is the kind of coach that might start him as a sub.
Exactly.
Which I hate. And
make him sort of earn it and that kind of stuff.
This one's for you, Trav. Elijah Sardis.
He's locked in my team.
Locked?
He's locked in my team.
Okay.
Bit of bias. I want Essendon to blood young players.
Yeah.
I'll put him in that. Again, it can change on selection, but judging by the practice game, I think he's above Hobbs now.
Yeah.
Parrish is injured early, so I think he should get started in that midfield.
Brad Scott coming out and speaking very highly of him.
Exactly,
Probably says that he really rates him and he wants him to succeed.
And apparently he's cleaned up his disposal, which was his biggest knock last year. I mean, he was subbed a lot of times.
From all reports, he's really worked, really hard on that. Anyone I've missed, guys? Anyone? Oh, I know Lawler, I think is...
Laylaw, just today, maybe about an hour ago, I saw his name round one.
Yeah.
What do you think, Nat? Because he's 200k, is that too high? Is he going to make enough money from 200k?
It's almost... I'm not sure about his role.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Here's the thing about him. I think he's a lock in that side.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's probably enough to maybe...
Like he's going to play every week.
Yeah, he's going to play. So you know he's going to hit about 300k, if not more.
Can I bring up one name who... I'll just mention my friend Wayne, who's told me Jai Clark is a lock in the Geelong side last year.
Sure.
And he did play every game. Last year. And he
Yeah.
did play every game, but he just... couldn't get going, and then he started getting dropped and subbed, and I don't know. I never feel like these rookies are absolute locks.
It can change very quickly. West Coast supporters are really high on Elijah Hewitt this year, and he's about the 120 mark. Forward mid as well. They're speaking about him like he's the next big thing.
You just can't predict.
But I haven't seen him.
He didn't play preseason matches yet.
I don't think he played the preseason.
No,
match
he didn't.
Well.
He didn't. But I saw Adam Simpson came out and saying he'll be pushing very hard for round one.
If he's named, is he someone you'd maybe
in the
take a chance
in
on?
the forward line?
Forward line.
100%,
Okay. Let's move on to our rucks, guys, and this is an interesting one because I feel like there's always maybe 3, maybe 4 names that might be in the conversation. So I want to know, who do you think you have locks? This probably gives away your team a little bit.
I got Cherry locked.
I'm same.
The second one sort of flicking in between, but I've got TDK at the moment. Just because as well, Pitnett's out. And he just dominates when he's on his own.
Can I ask you, Nada, when is Pitnett? Do you know roughly when he's due back? And does that make you nervous?
Or does he even come back?
I think it's round 3 or 4. I personally wouldn't play him.
But why did Carlton even start him in the preseason games? I initially thought they'd just give TDK free reign this year.
It's because they probably wanted TDK to play forward, knowing that Curno's
Charlie's
out.
Okay. And that was the only thing I thought maybe if Charlie misses a few games, then Pitnett will play and just so TDK can play a bit more forward.
From reports, Curno might be back after that after the Richmond game.
Yeah, I think so.
They're probably not, giving Richmond much of a chance, and they've kind of, I think, basically just
extra
gone
week.
If it was someone that a little bit more that they thought was going to be a little bit more competitive, they might have played him. But is there anyone outside of those 2 names? Because I personally think those are the 2 that 90% of the competition.
Is everyone just riding off Gordon? I don't have him purely because of the price. But are we not saying he's going to be the top 3 ruck?
I feel like the injuries. I think his body's getting old. I feel like
You think he'll break down?
I think he's just starting to sort of break down.
Who does Melbourne have as a backup though? I feel like if he's
they picked up Tom Campbell.
Will they play?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, I think they'll
Tom Campbell. They've got a couple
to.
of young boys. I think it was Varel, someone else. I can't remember. Big one for you guys. With Briggs going down, GWS, I've looked at this guy and I was keeping an eye on him last year because he had massive hit-out numbers in the VFL. But Nick Madden...
Oh, he was my old loophole from 2 years ago. Sitting on the 110k ruck forward.
But Nick Madden, I don't know if he comes in because Lockie Keith for me is not a ruck. You know what I mean? But I think if he comes in, sneaky on
chance.
the bench. Who have you boys got on the bench? I feel like everybody's got Boyd.
Yeah, Boyd.
I've got Boyd.
99k as well.
Because we're talking about rucks, I'll mention Flynn is in my flex.
Yeah.
Okay.
So nice. I think he will hopefully solo. I don't know about Bailey Williams how much game time he'll get, but Flynn at 220 odd k. If he's solo,
it's really good value.
It's good value. Yeah.
The only other one was I thought Lloyd Meek looked really good.
He did.
And I don't know. I feel like he could just go up another level, but
as a Hawthorn man, what do you think, Jamie?
Yeah.
I love him. He surprised me last year. Coming out of the blocks because I thought Ned Reeves was going to be our number 1 ruck, but he's taken over and just shows how competitive and how things can change. But he was he's probably first picked. Let's be real.
Yeah,
really.
He probably is, to be honest with you. And that's I think Mitchell said something along those lines when we went on that big game losing streak. He was like, "I'm going to pick you first, put everyone around you, so this is your opportunity to take it."
That's a big goal. Okay.
Yeah, but he just does everything. You can put him anywhere on the ground. And he doesn't really play like a ruckman as well. Genuine player on the ground. What do you guys think about Tim English had a down year last year, but he averaged 128 in 23. Can he get back up to it?
I don't know. I think he can. He definitely can. But I feel like I haven't really sort of even looked at him this year, to be honest.
Can anyone pinpoint what went wrong last year with Tim English? Was it Darcy coming in? He didn't really take that many minutes off him, right, in the ruck?
Yeah, I don't think so.
So whatever made him drop last year, I'm just concerned that...
A lot of new players came to the side, so maybe it's a bit of a chemistry kind of thing. You know, we didn't see enough of Daniel and McRae, obviously on a different sides now. For me, he's always played like a midfielder. Like he's the kind of guy who can actually get 20 possessions as well. Yeah. So I've... got one eye on him. TDK is one of those guys that I don't know if I can trust his body for a whole year. So I'm also kind of looking just in case he goes down. Who am I moving sideways to? Any love for Luke Jackson at all?
Carried him all last year. And the fact that they're picking Reedy and
I don't know if they're actually going to do that though. That's
really? Okay.
Well, that's what I'm curious about, whether they actually play both of them.
Yeah.
But if he's playing solo ruck and he's named solo ruck, would you consider him?
If he's named solo ruck and he's forward eligible, I'll pick him in the forward line.
You pick him in the forward line?
Yeah, 100%. But I just... Shrek Darcy will always still come back, I think.
How long's he out for?
I think I had 6 weeks.
I think I looked at the injury list and I want to say it was 4 to 5.
4 to 5.
Okay.
There you go.
What about you, Nathaniel? Would you take a look at Luke Jackson?
Yeah, if he definitely was listed as a solo ruck, I reckon in the forward line, you'd have to sort of have a look at him.
You'd have to,
100%.
All right, boys, let's move on to the forwards. What do you guys think are the locks forwards? Forwards are a tough one because I feel like their ceilings aren't as high as the other positions.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, do you need to almost take the best 2 or 3 players?
Great question. I think last year's forwards were even harder, and I think it'll be similar this year, but not as hard. I think there's big raps on Horn Francis, and I've got him in as well as a lock. But I don't understand why no one is also talking about Rankin in the same the same lock, and his ownership is not that high. I know Rankin could probably put out a lower score than Horn Francis, but Horn Francis is... I don't really see the massive difference between the two.
The difference with Rankin is also that he's playing a lot more midfield now, whereas he started his career as more of a key small forward. I really love Rankin. I think the Crows are going to have a big year. So I feel like he's the
driver, he's the cog.
Exactly. Like he's that barometer in that side. So St Kilda straight up as well could just be a mammoth score for him, really.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of Horn Francis? Like, because every year he's kind of increased his average. So do you think this is going to be the same this year?
He's got to be a lot more so now because Butters went down.
Yeah,
like he has to play in that.
That's the question. Like, does he struggle without Butters there, or does he excel without him?
Hard to say because I can't remember Butters being out much last year at all.
Yeah.
The only thing I did hear a knock from Hinkley on him that his engine isn't big enough to play constant midfield. But he's good enough to go forward and kick that 1 or 2 goals, which is normally about 20 points in Supercoach.
Yeah, he's great playing as a key forward as well. We saw someone like Will Day, moving up forward and kicking goals, and you see how much that boosts his score as well.
Yeah.
Look, I'm going to mention a couple of names here, and I feel like they're potentially going to be in everybody's team. So McRae.
Locked.
Bailey Smith. Luke Parker.
No.
No.
No? No love for Luke Parker?
No, too much
So
forward.
Luke Parker is priced at about... At about a 65 or something average. His average last year was actually 70. And that was multiple sub games. But his normal average is about 90. So it's a big question, but we haven't seen him.
I haven't seen him enough. And I think he still played forward a little bit in those preseason games. Like I know he did play a lot of midfield,
he's very good off that half forward line, even playing that role. And he's normally a good scorer. But I don't know what Clarko's plan is. Like,
that's the issue.
Does he manage him? Does he sub him off early? Does he sub him in? So big question marks. Caleb Daniel.
Locked in.
Underrated. You guys tell me these guys are worth having a look. Davidson at the Bulldogs, the rookie.
Locked. He's locked in.
I think everybody. He might be the most picked player.
I think he might be.
This year potentially. You guys tell me. Tom Lynch.
I actually had Tom Lynch for a long time, but just because a few more forward rookies popped up, I've moved him out. That's the only reason I took him out. And again, obviously the supply coming in.
So supply and injuries, I think, just throw me off a little bit.
I understand that. Look, the last 2 years, he's only played 4 games each season.
Wow.
He's been that injury prone. But the year he got through full season, 2022, he hit 94. He averaged 94 points.
That's unbelievable.
Which is great for a key forward.
94 could be top 10 forwards this year.
It probably would be.
Yeah, it would be.
And look, the difference is that he hasn't got the players in the side to kind of give him the same delivery.
Yeah, that's the issue.
But I've always rated him like 1-on-1 of the goal square. If he couldn't clunk it, he'd normally draw a free kick.
He's so big.
Long limbs.
So it's an interesting one, and sort of you almost wish they were in opening rounds so you could just have a quick look at it. But you probably say that about a few players. All right, a couple of underrated boys. Shea Bolton.
No, too inconsistent, I think.
Too
Too much forward time.
Apparently, I think I saw a stat going around how well he plays at Optus. Every time he's played there, when he was playing at Richmond, how well he's played. But yeah, with Fremantle, again, their midfield's pretty stacked too. So
he's not going to get many minutes.
Yeah.
If any.
Do you think he'd be better this year? Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to formulate this. Do you think he'll be better this year than he was last year, I guess?
I think Fremantle in general will win. I think I'm pretty bullish on Fremantle this year. So I think, and I feel like he is one of those players who, when your team's doing well, he does really well.
Yeah.
He's
downhill skier.
I don't want to say it, but pretty much.
What do you think of Sanders at the Doggies?
I hate Luke Beveridge. Sorry. I can't against that guy.
I actually reckon I had a keen eye on him as well.
Yeah.
Just because as well, Bond's going down as well.
Yeah.
He looks like he's playing more mid minutes.
You think without Bont, he's definitely in
Yeah.
I will say Bevo, when they saluted out of the finals, he was the name Bevo brought up and went, we're still in a good position for next year. We got Riley Sanders and, we think he's going to be an absolute gem.
Yeah.
So I think that gives you high enough praise.
Yeah.
And there was a bit of friction, I think, last year with two of them because everybody thought Sanders should be playing, but he was kind of getting dropped. You never know with Bevo.
Exactly right. Too much risk.
What do you think of Jeremy Finlayson?
No for me.
So he's a forward, but he started in the back line and was racking them up.
He did.
Sort of in that Luke Ryan kind of role again. He's still I feel like you don't know what's going to happen round one, but looks like it looked like it was a really good position for him.
Yeah. And he was played there before, right? I think early days GWS,
early days,
maybe.
And knows how to use the ball really clean, so feel pretty safe with them down there.
Yeah.
Do you boys have any other forwards?
You haven't talked about the greatest small forward of the modern era potentially.
Here we go.
Here you go, starting early.
If anything, like obviously he's small forward. He's not going to score, but if anything, I think he's got really good job security.
Yeah.
So I feel like you have to have him in.
Yeah. I think that's it. The job security more than anything.
Yeah.
He might or might not be in my side.
Yeah.
I feel like he's been in and out that often.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've stretched my salary
as
much as I can. Quick couple of rookie price guys. I've forgotten his first name. Is it Jack Martin up at Geelong?
Oh,
yep.
Carlton.
Yeah, ex-Carlton. Yeah. Oh, yeah, he'll break down within 2 weeks
if
he hasn't already.
They've wrapped him up really well this preseason. They've kind of not let him do anything.
Yeah.
What about the Geelong effect that Geelong just has on these players?
Exactly. Like
Tyson Stengel. Exactly. Just get these players in and just get the best out of them.
If he's named round one and he's 150k, are you putting him on the bench on the forward line?
I don't think so.
You just don't want to.
I think as well. There's a little bit of staying there, but I don't think so.
Joe Berry.
I've got Joe Berry.
Rookie at Port. I think he's got some job security.
100%,
he looks very clean. He just looks like he belongs.
Exactly. What are your thoughts on who was it called? Richards and him playing. Do they have different roles? Are they a similar role?
It probably wouldn't matter. I feel like Joe Richards can. Well, they both can move up a little bit more, but I'd be more confident with Joe Richards moving further up the field.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
And we've seen the kind of meta with. The AFL game plan is very much more forward based, so I think like they're gonna really dig into that.
Yeah.
Last one, Ashton Moyer, Carlton boy.
High hopes for him, but I'm not picking him. I just think he hasn't got the role, and the job security is kind of iffy.
Do you? How many games do you think he can get into this year?
I hope he plays 15, like 14, 15.
Yeah.
Again, just from a football perspective, I rate him and I hope he does well, but from a Supercoach perspective, not quite.
Nah, key forwards don't normally. I haven't seen him really move up the ground either. All right, boys, we're going to get into our actual team. So these are the big reveals. I think I'm going to go first because I've technically had to set up the PowerPoint for you boys. So I've had a little look at your teams.
Yeah.
So this will be, we'll just start with my defenders and midfielders, and you boys tell me what you think. Anything scream out to you?
The glaring one is the two Freo guys.
Let's play the buys.
I agree. I love playing the buys, but how do you split the points? Do you think they can
They both scored like
in the practice game?
They were both scoring hundreds last year, and they're both on the same side. So they're playing different roles. Like it's almost like Ryan takes the kickouts and he kicks them to Clark. So it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
almost
that's
like a joint synergy kind
of thing.
I
think that's exact same with Roberts, who's a good pick too, because apparently Blakey take the kickouts, but he's kicking it to Roberts. You technically get a mark and a kick.
a lot of people will think I put Roberts in after the Sydney game. I had him before that. Because I picked him up in a draft league last year, and he basically won me.
Yeah, he played real well.
Because it was his second half of the year was
back end.
He started that role.
Just racked him up. Cleary's one I'm happy to have. I would love to have been able to fit Pryor in. I just don't have enough money.
I think that's a good point. That was the only one I was going to mention. I think Pryor has good security as of now.
Yeah. I don't like having Leak there, even though
he's got
64.
He's got 64 on the board, so he's got the runs on the board.
Yeah,
now,
exactly.
Which helps.
And Zach Reed, Luke Traynor on the bench. Zach Reed? Tell me. All
I
reports
think
he's playing.
His body holds up. He is playing.
He's playing.
He is
security. Because he actually scored pretty decently.
He won't score overly well, but it's a security, and he's only 120.
Yeah.
So exactly. As I said, I think 150 is that pass mark. I think he can get there if he just stays on the park.
Yeah.
His biggest thing is his injuries.
Yeah. And I had Nick Dacos out, and I put him back in. Look, it could change. Any surprises there? I don't know if you boys know much about Hasty or Boxall.
Boxall, I knew a little bit about him because his practice games and Ross Lyon came out saying how well he did. Yeah. I've actually got him in as well. Sorry to ruin the surprise, but yeah. Again, I think with those rookies, I'm sure we're the same. You could change it on Thursday night.
Yeah, exactly. You got to wait till the teams come out. That's the thing about it. Hasty, I think, signed an extra 2-year deal, and he looked phenomenal. He's actually playing half back, so I feel like a lot of these players are going to change positions as well. So I'm hoping Hasty's going to get that mid defender. So I can slide him into the back at some point. Well, if I don't trade him out before that. Yeah. And Lucas Camporelli, I'm not sold on just purely because I think he could be the sub.
Yeah. Could be. Yep. Other than that, I think it's a pretty stock standard. The big one for me is Dacos, because I've got strong opinions on how you can get him later. But
look, I mean, anything can happen. I also, there were some rumours on Twitter saying he might be injured, might be out next week.
I saw.
But wait and see,
what happens.
No Will Day.
Will Day. You know what? I don't like having Hawks players in my side just because I feel like I am too biased. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I feel like I'm a better Supercoach player when I don't have Hawk players.
Can I ask you, as a Hawthorn supporter, Will Day's flaw? Can he just put out a 70 already? Like, for example, he got clamped by Jordan in the second half. With Warple being out now 2 or 3 weeks, is he the main tag target now for Hawthorn?
Nah, because you still got Jai Newcombe there.
Yep.
And I reckon it's tough to split Newcombe and Day. I feel like they're very even. They're very different midfielders.
Very different.
But they're just as damaging as each other.
Yeah.
And it's almost like that Sydney complex where you've got like Goulden, Heaney and Warner. Yeah. Where you don't always need one to step up. Like if one has a down game, the other one steps up. And that's kind of how those two kind of contrast each other. Yeah. It's a tough one with Will Day because I still think he can average 100. Yeah. But I don't know how much, if he's going to be throwing at 140s again.
Yeah. True.
All right. I'm ready to hear the criticism on my forward line.
You've anti-potted 2 of the big, like in Horn Francis and Rankin. Yeah. And you've scored Shai Bolton.
Look, my thinking, and this could change, but my thinking is that Bolton can average 90. And that seems to be a kind of around the peak of the forwards.
Yeah.
I think Rankin and Horn Francis could go above that, but I'm not convinced entirely.
I'm pretty sure, didn't Horn Francis average above 90 last year?
Yeah, just above it. Yeah, but not above 100 though.
Not above 100.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the next bracket. Now the other thing here is that you might notice with my team, a lot of North Melbourne, a lot of Carlton, a lot of Bulldogs. They all have the same buy in round 12. I think it's round 12.
Yeah.
And that's like about 9 or 10 players in the team.
But can I just say, are you talking about primos, or are you going to hold the whole season?
Exactly. They're not all primos.
Yeah.
But I did have Horn Francis in there initially and noticed that he's on that buy as well. Yeah. So I was like, that's probably the reason I don't want to, because I don't know how well these North boys will do.
Yes.
And you guys have possibly talked me out of Parker, to be honest now, because neither of you were really big on him.
Yeah. I think if it was like 260, around the same price as Daniel, that also makes a difference. Yeah. Because he's 340. Yeah. It's like 80,000 there.
Yeah. And I even would consider taking a punt on Finlayson.
Yep.
But look, another poor play. It's the same buy issue, but I'm just trying to avoid having these guys.
Have you put in the GWS? I can't even say his name. Did you put him in after the game?
Yeah, after the game I did put him. Okay. He impressed me.
Yeah,
he really impressed me. I think he's got a role there. He's definitely got a role next week. Yeah. But again, like his price isn't. I would like it if his price increased a little bit higher.
Yeah.
A little bit earlier. So maybe I need to look for that. I think that's why I put Patton in. Yeah. Purely because I don't have Kako.
You don't have,
and mainly because I can't afford Kako. Yeah. Because I've absolutely, used the entire salary cap at the moment.
Yeah.
So if he goes up a little bit higher and Kako's having a blinder, it might be an easy.
Is another reason you're putting Pat into the flex, the whole def and forward swing? Is that just for flexibility?
And that's really, I think, what the flex role is supposed to be.
Yeah. There's a lot of conjecture about what it should be. A lot of people are picking like a third ruck. I honestly think I'm with you. It doesn't actually matter who you put there because like it's a 23rd player, but if they can fit into any position, it makes it easier.
Realistically, I feel like what might happen is just that it'll end up being just a key player that gets injured, and you might just chuck them there and use the good players. Let's move on, Nathaniel. We're going to go through your team now. So your defenders and midfielders.
Yeah, so Lock, Sheasley and Whitfield. I feel like Short's just going to get plenty of ball. The ball's just going to be down there all the time.
I really like Short because you just remember Rioli going out.
Yeah,
kind of
that too.
He could just really rack them up.
Is that okay? I picked Short in a draft league last year with one of my earlier picks, thinking Richmond are bad. He's going to get the ball. I think the only saving grace is what you just said, Rioli out, but that guy burnt me.
What did he average last year?
Yeah, it was shocking for what he was expected to put. I'm pretty sure he started the year last year at 5 something, and people were picking him as a premium and classic, considering how bad Richmond were. But
so
he
you're
was
just
way down
because he burnt you,
or 100%. A bit of emotional selection, but I like the idea. I know he dominated in the practice game against Collingwood too, and the ball will be down there, and no Rioli.
And you take consideration, he probably plays a similar role to Rioli as well, so probably works out for him. Look, I like Pryor, Perryman. Are you confident with Perryman?
I think he's got the role. Yeah, I think he's got the role. I'm hoping he has that same role over the course of the year. I mean, most of those selections, those top 4, I'm thinking they're going to be top 6 end of year, all roundabouts, right?
So you really think Perryman will be top 6?
I think he keeps the inside mid role for sure. And even
what do you think a defender should average to be top 6?
Oh, I think it's sort of around that 100 mark, isn't it? 100, 105 maybe. It depends, but I think I can see him averaging 100 potentially.
Fair enough.
If he keeps the CBAs. He only had 3 tackles on the weekend, I think, but normally, like in the preseason game, like 8 tackles as well. So,
the one I'm interested in is Nathan O'Driscoll in the midfield there. It's a bit of
it's. I feel like with the midfield, I feel like I was telling Trav before that. I feel like there's a heap of midfield rookies, and I'm like, I want to even include a couple more, but I just don't know which ones.
So O'Driscoll's is he more of a placeholder at the moment, do you think?
I think so. Like he's kind of in and out. I feel like he looked pretty good, provided some good drive in their pracky match, but it's just whether he's actually in that mix or not.
How do you predict out of O'Driscoll, Reed and Erasmus, who's going to get the call up?
Exactly.
That was my only fear with him.
There'll be a couple of sub games. O'Driscoll's always a highlight reel. Like he kicks amazing goals from like the left pocket always. It's a tough one just to know his role and his security, I guess. You've also probably got a Sid Draper around the same price if he is. You
can always flick.
And Langford and Sheldrick on the bench. I don't know.
Sheldrick is a big. Surely I thought you'd have him removed before.
Well, he got injury sub, so I don't know. But I don't know if it was serious. I guess.
Yeah. But also, even before he got subbed, I think I was watching a bit of the game. I don't think he was. He
wasn't playing well, but I feel like he had.
Before that preseason, there was high talk.
And he had
and obviously Gordon going down as well.
Correct. Yeah. And he still had I think again he got injured
but isn't that 32 score now in his throwing you off because now it's in his 3-week thing that calculates price.
Yeah. Look, he'll probably be one again that I sort of think about whether he's again. I think like you said, comes down to selection, but he had 40, 43, 42% CBAs. So I think the role as well, the security is where I'm sort of not sure.
No, it's a bit hard because do you really want to spend your time racking your brain over all the rookies on the bench when realistically the teams are going to be the final source and going to dictate it.
Correct.
But it'll be interesting. I like you've gone the Dacos Sarong like I have.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope Will Day pans out for you personally. Oliver as well. So I like Pryor in the back line. Would have you seen much because I've got Cleary.
So I actually didn't think
compared at least.
I didn't think Pryor was going to be a major factor this year, but after that practice game against Geelong, I think he's pretty much put his hand up to say he'll start.
Yeah. Do you reckon he gets up to 300,000? That 150,000?
I think he can. It's just so hard to predict with the rookies. They just need to be picked.
I would back him too.
I think he can in the back line. I think
if he's playing every game, I'd back him too.
Yeah.
Moving on to the rucks and the forwards. Two big forwards there, Horn Francis.
He's got the big two, most teams I've seen have only gone the one.
Yeah, so I think because early on I sort of went a similar route to Jamie where I had a Chera in there, so that's where my cash was. Now because I've got 4 or 5 rookies on the field there, I had a bit of cash and I think they both have the role as well. I think they're going to get potentially around 50% CBAs, maybe a bit more for Horn Francis.
I actually really
with
don't.
Butters out.
I really sort of I'm leaning towards this myself now, because you can sort of say with the forwards, those two will be
They'll
in
be
the top six, right? So you can actually say it for sure. Whereas with each other line, you can't guarantee that anyone you're picking is going to be top of that line.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think historically I went the mid-pricer route, whereas most of the picks, especially the premium ones across all lines, I think they're going to be in that sort of final side. So yeah, whereas previously I've had to, chop and change a little bit, playing with sort of money a bit. Whereas hopefully it might be a bit of a slower start, but towards the back end of the year I might have a few more trades, and that's sort of the idea I've gone with, to be honest.
I like Nevitt too. I think from
I was
what
just
I'm
about
saying,
to say that.
he's in the midfield mix, and
I like him. He looked really good, and he's been putting in the work, I guess, last couple of years.
With Geelong not having the round 3 bye, that was a big thing for
that changed everything a little bit as well. Quick question for you: if you're choosing who's to start on the field, are you choosing Kako or are you choosing Davidson?
Yeah, good question. Probably Davidson. I'd say after I saw the preseason game, he's probably got more a higher ceiling, I'd say, consistently. Whereas Kako's not going to kick 4 or 5 probably every week.
And you could move him into the midfield as well.
That's true. Yeah,
potentially.
That's true.
No, I like it. I'm jealous of your forward line because you're making me think that maybe I'm, playing behind if I don't have one of the JHF or...
That was my biggest shock with your team. And he's actually got me thinking I need to start both of them, because I thought maybe I don't need to spend $1 million essentially on 2 players in forward lines. But he's right in the sense that they will end up there.
Yeah, you got to ask the question as well, are they probably going to be more expensive by the time you get to it?
Exactly, yeah. If they're playing full-time, a lot more, especially Horn Francis early on, more mid-time.
Yeah. And I honestly feel like potentially those first 5 forwards could all be top 6 come into year. So then in my mind I'm thinking, I'm only looking to upgrade one player really potentially in the forward line.
Can I ask you, Jamie, just speaking of the forward lines and who's going to end up there, Dylan Moore as a Hawthorn man, will he, like last year, I think he was in the top 6 or 8?
Yeah, I think he was top 3. Well, he's the top 3 this year, I think. Yeah. Look, he's the kind of player that will score you your 90s consistently, and then have a few games where he explodes. But there'll be 1 or 2 games where he just hits a 60.
And that's purely his role, right? He's got one of the hardest roles.
It's more like Hawthorn's such an even kind of side that you'll have guys like Ginnivan and Watson kind of pop up and have massive games, and he'll just be I don't have to have a massive game. You know what I mean?
Takes a back seat.
And he works really hard. So
but he works harder than anyone for his ball.
If he wants to take a back seat for a game and we're still going to win, you let him. There's no problem there. But he's also on chance. We haven't got any high goal kickers, so he's normally up there with them. Yeah. So I think he was second most last year for the Hawks. Travis, to wrap it up, we're going through your team. Oh, he's got Clark like I do. Max Holmes is actually one I've constantly had my eye on. And
I only put him in because they got their game rescheduled.
Yeah, okay.
I read him an interesting point. Holmes or Stewart, they're both actually priced similarly.
Yeah. Now, I feel like the controversial ones are Chevalier and Beau Allen for me.
Oh, so I'll be honest again. Those two can easily be changed on. So I think Pryor comes in, and maybe Cleary. I'm pretty sure I have a bit of cash left as well, just for corrections before teams.
Yeah. Beau Allen's an interesting one because he had a couple of possessions but ended up on a minus
game. But there was so much talk before that about him. If his name ran one, I think I'll keep him in there. I think West Coast will stick with him.
The thing is, if he does pull out maybe a 70 or something like that, I feel like everybody would all of a sudden be burning a trade again.
100%. That's the risk.
So it's a little bit of a risk, and if you can afford to have someone 130 on the bench, why not? Yeah. Because I feel like he's got a little bit more security. I hope he does at least.
Yeah.
The 2 Freo boys in the midfield is an interesting one, but they're both proven midfield.
Well, I was a bit skeptical. I'm like, how can these guys boats go over 100? But I looked at the averages from last year. I think Brayshaw was near 110 and Strong was above.
Do you have any nerves about not having Nick Dacos in the side?
Not now.
No.
I'll be honest. I changed him yesterday, but because he's got that was 67 in his 3-week price cycle. I think that first drop. I know it's not good to waste a trade on him, but
if he comes out next week and scores 150.
I've got to cop. Of course, I've got nerves for that. I've just got to cop it now. I've got to back it myself. Otherwise, I can't.
Liberatore is an interesting one. Not everybody would pick Liberatore.
Only because of Bot getting injured.
Okay.
Only I know he's old, things like that. But again, that was one really one I was umming and ahhing about. But just because Bot went down,
I'm really interested to see Finn O'Sullivan on the bench and Nevitt on the field.
Yes.
Yeah, you're sticking with that?
I don't think I'll probably end up swapping that before just again.
And Rosie's probably a little bit of a different one. Don't always see, but obviously Butters out, so you think he's going to have a bigger role?
I think he will. I know he's got that slight injury concern around, but from all reports that they're saying he's fine, so I'll keep him in there for now. But again, I'll just be keeping an eye on the news beforehand.
Yep.
All right, and it looks like we've all gone with the same ruck setup.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's the popular one this year. So look, I'm curious if anyone else, if there's a lot of people in the competition who would have a ruck setup without those three in it.
Yeah.
That'd be very, very interesting to hear.
I wonder after Lloyd Meeks' game if he's popped up a bit more.
Yeah. Jack McRae and Bailey Smith seem to just be locks. Yeah. Isaac Kako on the bench. Davidson. Joe Berry's your real point of difference. Yeah. I like that you got Matt Flynn there.
Yeah, I think purely his number one ruck flex, and then
what do you think of? I had on the bench Edwards, the new boy down at Essendon.
Yes, he was SSP signing or something.
Yeah, he's been kicking a lot of goals.
Again, like is it that he needs the goals to score?
Yeah, but Peter Wright's out. But it's almost just because he's 99k. It's just like he's got to make your money.
He's got to make money. It's like a marriage when he came in. Yeah.
So do you consider like? Oh, you don't know. Yeah, I guess if Bordy's playing, it's kind of the same kind of deal. Exactly. But if he's not playing, would you maybe put Flynn in that?
Yeah.
Would you be willing to have Flynn on the bench being at 260?
Oh yes, definitely. Okay. Happy to have him on the bench at 260 because I think he again will just make money.
Yeah. Yeah. And hypothetically, if you keep these two, if we all keep these two rucks, they've got the same buy.
Yes, that's the risk.
You got to deal with that.
The thing is, I'm worried about De Koning when I still think they're going to play Pitternet. I don't know why.
You reckon?
I still think why was he there at the start? I know with the Kernow thing, but
I think De Koning will play so well before Pitternet can even come back.
That's what we're all hoping for.
But you know what? Michael Voss he had the winning formula, I feel like, last year. He just ended up changing it.
Yeah.
And it was just, you never know what's going to happen with the Blues. Yeah. But that wraps up our episode. Big thank you to the boys for coming down, sharing their expertise and knowledge. We've got a Supercoach draft, I think, straight after this.
We do, yeah.
So we've left it till the last minute. Yeah. So I'm keen to get going. If you have number one pick, who are you taking?
It's so hard now because Bot and Dacos at. I might this year put me on the spot. Let me think. I'm obviously not prepared for it. No, do you want to go first?
I'll take Sheasel.
Sheasel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sheasel, yeah. Okay. I'll probably go Zeri.
I'm still taking Dacos.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, look, I still back him.
Even if we're playing, I'm pretty sure we're playing buys in the sense that when he misses,
that might change things. I'll still take him. I think you got to take the best available.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys if you've tuned in for this one. We'll be back with more content throughout the next couple of weeks. But thank you again to the boys. Big thank you for coming on, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, guys.